Hey, Greg here, back at the shop today, Saturday, another work day on the car, except this is a little different. You know why? Because we finally get to go run our hot rod. Man, it seems like it's been forever, but next Saturday, God willing, and all the crew show up, we're going to be out at Woodburn testing the hot rod. And man, it's about time. Seems like it's been forever. Last September is when we were out there testing, and we did really well, ran really well, but we finally could take her back out and try again. Since then, we made a lot of changes. The car ran well, but we always knew last year that the car was really heavy. And before you start saying, well, what'd you expect, because you're a big fat guy, I wasn't in the car. Russ was driving the car, so you can get over that joke right now. And by the way, I've joined CrossFit, so I'm trying to deal with that from my injury, from my back injury. But anyway, the point was, when we were running really well, running 20s, we were typically about 90 pounds overweight. So you go, crap, you know, what could we do if the car wasn't quite so heavy? It's clearly at 90 pounds, that's got to be worth a couple tenths, right? Well, not really, I'm just kidding, but I mean, it's got to help. So the problem is, putting a car on a diet, it isn't easy, and it ain't cheap. But we started the process. So let me show you around a couple of things that we did. So we'll start here in the front of the car and I'll show you around. I just had knee surgery, no big deal. So here on the front of the car, first thing we did is we changed the nose of the car. So if you're familiar with the car had an old kind of shovel nose look that kind of dated the car. And it was glass and it had been hit numerous times, and because it had been hit, it had been repaired, and the repair always used a bunch of fiberglass to fix it, and it was really heavy. So Tyson, with his connections from his employer back in the Midwest, Z-Rods, he took that nose and shaped it into this shape, shipped it back to them, and they made a mold from it. And from that, then they pulled this carbon fiber nose. So the first one's $1 million, and the rest of them are only $500,000. But the point is, we can order more now off of that mold. This is a carbon fiber nose that weighs darn near nothing. And so we saved a few pounds. A lot of money, saved a few pounds. And the car now looks less dated because it's got a new look. So we did that. The next thing we did was the fuel tank that came with the car, again, a lot of years ago, back on 100%, when it didn't matter, was big. It held 14 gallons. We typically run about 12 in it, and the problem was it didn't have any internal baffling. So if you try to shed some weight to take some fuel out, keep in mind nitromethane is darn near 10 pounds a gallon. So you don't want to carry any more fuel than you absolutely have to have, because it's pretty dadgum heavy. So if you get rid of that extra fuel that you don't need, meaning we burn 6 to 7 gallons every run, so why do we carry 12? Well, here's why. If you take that fuel level down, the problem was when the driver, me or Russ, when you pull on the brake at the top of the burnout with no baffling in the tank, all that fuel runs away from you, and it would starve the motor of fuel. And if you weren't careful, if you didn't catch it real quick, it'd starve the motor would rev up, and the darn thing would die. And you don't get a second chance to restart a nitro car. You're done, that's it. So thankfully, Tyson built us a new tank over the winter that's smaller. So this is about a 9.5 gallon tank. Something, ironically, internal joke here we've been arguing about today is how much fuel it actually holds. But nonetheless, it's a smaller tank. So we know that we're going to be able to run 2 to 3 gallons less fuel. Do the math, 20 to 30 pounds just in the doggone fuel that we don't have to carry down the track with us. Amazing. So that tank is new. Next change, the fuel line. A few years ago, we were running the fuel line that came with the car. Mike, can you grab that purple fuel line that's back up against the wall there? That's that bent fuel line, and I'll show them that. When I got the car from Jerry Darian, it had inch 750 fuel line, and that's what we ran at the time, inch and 3/4 fuel line. And the rubber hose that connected it is called radiator hose for everybody else, but it's our fuel line. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is what...
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. That's Mike. Awesome, Mike. So anyway, this is the fuel line that I had in the car for all those years. Well, here's what I didn't know was it wasn't bent correctly. It wasn't bent on a mandrel bender. It was bent on an exhaust tubing bender. So this may be an inch 750, but that ain't. So that's much less than that, approaching an inch and a half. So we were getting appropriate amount of fuel through here, but not through here at the bends. And that caused huge problems, and we went through more than a few pistons as I tried to give the motor more and more fuel, and you just couldn't get there from here because it was being choked by the darn fuel line. So at the time, I happened to have that McKinney car out here that I was thinking I was going to be able to go to, and it didn't work out. But the point is, it was an ex-Vandergrift top fuel car, and so it had this Gombo fuel line in it that was, well, part of it was 2.5 inch line, and the rest of it was 2 1/4. But we made it together and put it in there to see if it solved the problem, and guess what? It did. So we didn't have that lean out problem anymore. So problem solved. That's the good news. The bad news is we didn't really need 2.5 inch fuel line. We only needed 2 inch. So again, we're carrying more weight down the track than we need. So this year, check it out, kids. We've got 2 inch fuel line all the way back. So we've got adequate fuel without carrying more than we need to have. You need to carry exactly what you need and no more. Sherry used to say to me that on an A fuel car, any race car, that we've left all the unimportant parts off the car. And that's what we're doing, is we didn't need to carry extra fuel. Now the fuel line that you see there, you see the bare fuel line because we haven't got to the part of insulating it yet. We're just now getting to that point. So there's a chunk of insulation that's on the ground, and back where it goes through the driver's compartment, we've got it insulated, and we're just about to put the tunnel on top of it now. So this is going to go over that, and that will go in there shortly, something like that. So that will sit there and cover that all up. But the point is, a few years ago, NHRA gave us the ability to not only cool the fuel down to 40 degrees, but they gave us the ability to insulate everything, and it made a huge difference to keep the fuel that we'd worked so darn hard to get cold, to keep it at that temperature as long as the insulation would allow for it. It works really well. We can hold it within a couple degrees for probably a good half an hour, even on a really hot day in the staging lanes. It works amazingly well. So there's a couple changes that we made. Come on back, let me show you some more. So one of the unintended consequences of not running the car for all these months because of this darn virus thing is we hadn't been spending any money because we weren't running our own car. So here's what we did. We have to run what's called ballistic restraints over the valve covers, and these are Taylor's, and they work like a champ. Dennis does a great job. These are tired looking because they're old and tired looking. They've been through a lot of wars, been through a lot of fires, and seen a lot of sun. None of that is Dennis's fault at all. His stuff works like a champ. The challenge is they're heavy because they're ballistic restraints, because you could like shoot, they're not shoot through them, it's like a bulletproof vest, and they're slow and time consuming to put on. Oh, there's the plate right here. Watch out, Maggie. So this plate goes in between the injector and the scoop, and those straps come down the side, and you've got to feed these through every time and then connect them down to a bracket on the header. It's slow and time consuming, and then you've got to connect them in the front and back each time. It just takes time, and they're heavy. So if a guy has money, which I never had any extra till this year when we didn't run the car, check it out, kids, titanium valve cover restraints. So we stepped up, and I spent a chunk of money, and we now have titanium valve cover restraints, and these just pin on here, if I can get this off. No, I can't. We're still fitting them. But anyway, these come on and off now with just quick pins, and they're cable front and back, so they'll just slip right off. And obviously being titanium, they weigh a heck of a lot less than what these do. So the goal was to speed things up and to make it lighter. So what's it all going to amount to? I have no idea. We haven't left the shop yet. I have no idea what it's going to amount to. But we're sure swinging hard at the ball. Right now, I'm back here working on the clutch program. We sent it out to get it recerted, which is an annual thing. The clutch is a pretty important part of the car for safety. It's got to go out every year and get recerted. So it came back from Crower, and I then began putting it back together, but we had to put new facings on it. Now the facings, I guess I should probably leave that off so I can turn this over and show you, but this is the pressure plate together. It's a centrifugal clutch, so these arms, as this spins, these nuts and bolts that I have on here are only a part of it, it's not all of it, but as it spins, okay, these arms will come up and they apply pressure. I'm going to take this apart now, set this back over here. All those arms apply pressure to these buttons, these carbide buttons here, pushing downward on this. And that then is the pressure plate. This is the donut part. And this is then what applies pressure to the clutch pack, which consists of 4 discs and 3 steel floaters. And all that squished together is what then accelerates the car. Okay, so anyway, we had to put new facings on. They were getting too thin. So we got that done, and I'm now getting it put back together. So that's what I've been working on earlier today. So there's no shortage of projects. It's just never ending, it seems like, around here. But we're close. We're close to getting it ready. The guys have been working their tail off, and they're great guys. Mike's here. There he is. Yeah, Mike. And,
hi again, Mom.
And Chris Lehman's up front. Chris even bought pizza today. Yay, Chris! We love anybody buys pizza. So if you want to show up by pizza next week, we'll love you too.
Absolutely.
And then
don't forget the beer.
And then there's Derb. Oh, that's right, you got beer too. And then there's Derbs. He's here every day. And then Stan holding the video camera. And that's our program. Russell is helping Barry move up from Vegas. So our driver, so he'll be out at the track next weekend with his funny car pitted next to us, and our two-car team program. So check it out. Be out there. Come check us out. So hope you enjoyed this look around our program and what the changes are that we've made, and hope you like our video. Subscribe and click that darn bell and comment. Tell us what you think about this. We work hard on this, and I hope you like it. But if you don't, that's okay. At least tell us so we know what we're doing, so how we can improve what we're doing. Appreciate your time very much. Thank you for being part of the Gregg Racing program. We appreciate you guys very much. Thank you.